Hello, hello. I'm Casey.
And I'm Fallon.
And this is
Render the Darkness.
Woo! I have to make that real extravagant on 4th of July. Maybe do a little firework right there. Pew! So today's episode is being brought to you by our 50 States series.
50 States.
Yeah, we're going to be in Kentucky today. But before we get into that, let me give you your fun fact.
Okay.
Fun fact for this episode is, if a polar bear and a grizzly bear were to mate with one another, their babies would be called pizzy bears.
Pizzy bears?
Pizzy bears.
That's cute.
Isn't that cute? I thought so too.
I wonder if they would mate.
I don't know. I thought the same thing. I thought, why is this a thing? Has there ever been a time in history where, like, independently on their own, outside of any kind of, like, scientific research or study, that a grizzly bear and a polar bear have mated to make this exist?
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't Google it into it too much.
Okay,
I may have, should have, but it popped into mine too as soon as I read the fun fact. I was like, that's a fun fact. But then I was like, wait, hold on. Does that happen?
You should have known I was going to be like, hey, I'm going to have a follow-up question to this.
I absolutely did. Anything that I don't research further into, I always expect you to have a follow-up question. Any opportunity to make me go, I don't know. All right, so I mentioned that we're in Kentucky for this one. More specifically, we are in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville?
That's the home of the Pope Lick Monster, a.k.a. the Goat Man. So,
The what?
The Pope Lick Monster.
Pope Lick.
A.k.a. the Goat Man.
Okay.
So, according to legend, the Goat Man lives underneath a railroad trestle bridge that runs over Pope Lick Creek, hence the name.
And
you know
what it reminds me of? Billy Goat Gruff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, anyway. Sorry. That was a goat beard, in case anybody was wondering what I was doing. That was a goat beard. She explained that. I forgot I don't actually have a beard here for you to understand, but anyway. All right, so for those that don't know what a trestle bridge is, it's a tripod, like a frame that uses up and down posts and side to side seals to create a sturdier support for heavier traffic. So like a lot of bridges, especially train tracks, that's actually mostly used for train tracks because heavy trains, lots of cars and whatnot attached to them. And in this case, the trestle bridge is referring to a train track, but it's also used for like different types of landscapes. Like maybe there's a dip in a valley somewhere or something, and they need like a higher post, a longer post than normal, so they would use it in that situation as well. Something like that. You've seen them. I didn't know they were called trestle bridges. But so again, today we're gonna be talking about specifically one that is a train track, or has a train track. It's a bridge that has a train track going across it.
Okay.
So that's a really long explanation for that. Sorry. It's believed that the creature is part man, part sheep, and part goat. There are several different theories about how the goat man acquires its victims. So some believe that the creature has the ability to mimic a person's voice. Others believe it possesses the power of hypnosis. And some people believe that it's a skinwalker. It's believed that it uses these powers to entice its victims to go onto the trestle when a train is coming. Others believe it actually jumps down off the trestle onto the cars passing by underneath. And then there's that belief that the creature actually yields a bloody axe that it uses to attack its victims. And then there are those who say that the creature doesn't need an axe or special tricks at all, but that the mere sight of the creature is so shocking and scary that when someone sees it walking up, it throws them off so much and scares them so much that they just jump off the trestle bridge to their death. Another theory, and from what I understand, the most often told one by the locals, is that the creature is a farmer who was reincarnated into the goat man because in his previous life he often sacrificed goats in exchange for satanic powers.
Okay.
Another theory is that the creature is actually an ex-carni that was severely mistreated and vowed revenge on mankind. And another theory is that the creature lives underneath the trestle because he escaped after a train derailed on top of the trestle. And of course, as is the case with most folklore and cryptids, there have been plenty of people, which we absolutely would be in that group, but there's been plenty of people who are or have been seeking a peek or an encounter with said creature over the years. They even went so far as to put up an 8-foot fence around the area in an attempt to keep the thrill seekers out, but as we all know, where there's a will, there's usually a way.
They will always find a way.
Always. So there have been several deaths on the trestle over the years, and several of those deaths are people who were on the search for the goat man. And here's just a few of the deaths that have been noted. And not all of these were necessarily looking for the creature per se, but most of them were.
Yeah.
I think all of them but like one actually were out on the search for the goat man when they met their untimely demise. So 17-year-old Jack J.C. Charles Baum II was hit by a train in 1988, and another unnamed young man who was with him was injured in this. Another man was killed in 1994 by getting hit by a train after he was trapped on the tracks by his ATV having overturned.
Oh, wow.
I think he's the only one that wasn't.
So he was just like...
He was just on the tracks on his ATV, and I think it just overturned, and he got pinned, and he couldn't move.
Gosh, that sucks.
But I don't know that he wasn't on the search. He may have been out there on his ATV looking. I don't know. But then there was a 19-year-old who fell to his death in 2000 after being faced with an oncoming train.
Oof.
And then there was Roquel Bain, who was from Ohio and was out searching for the goat man on April 23rd, 2016, when he was hit by a train. He was only 26 years old. And perhaps the most recent was Savannah Bright and Kaylee Keeling, who were walking the tracks near the trestle on the search for the ghost man. And unfortunately, they encountered a train, and sadly, Savannah did not survive. She was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah.
The Goat Man has been featured in a short film, as well as featured in shows such as Destination America's Monsters and Mysteries in America, and the episode is titled Ozarks. There have been a lot of requests and petitions for higher levels of safety to be placed at the trestle, but as of today, the location still remains a very active hotbed for people searching for the Goat Man, and it still remains very dangerous for anyone to do so, and it is not encouraged to go looking. There's also a memorial marker at the location listing all of the people who have tragically lost their lives there, and as for the train, it still very much runs through the area on a regular basis, so again, it is strongly advised that you do not enter this area, and that is my case of the Pope-Lick Monster, aka the Goat Man.
Interesting. Yeah, I can kind of understand people's thoughts, saying that you need to make it
safer, more secure.
But like you said, people are going to find a way around it.
Well, and not only that, but because it is still a used train track, there's not a way to entirely close that off, right? Because the train still has to be able to get through. And when a train isn't running through, anybody can just walk the tracks to get in. Like, there's no way to completely close that off.
Yeah. See, I wonder if, like, the train station or whatever has a schedule.
Yeah.
Of, like, when the trains are supposed to be coming in and out. Like, maybe if you went and got a copy of that, you can see, like, what times, like, it's not supposed to be a train, and maybe do it. Then, if you're going to do it, which you shouldn't because they say not to do it. But people are going to people.
And I will say, like, there's a lot of these cryptids that, I read them and I go, And I'm not saying I believe there's a goat man per se, but I will say that out of the cryptids that I personally have looked into, this one does have a pretty high number of associated deaths with it. And a lot of them are from being hit by the train, which I find strange because you definitely know when a train's coming.
Yeah.
Especially if you know, if you're on the track, even if you can't hear it, you start feeling the vibration of that train like miles before it gets there.
Yeah,
So,
and if it's at night, you should be able to see the lights.
like I do think some of the deaths associated with this are a little bit bizarre in that sense. Just because, and again, I know accidents happen. I know people do get hit by trains, and it is complete accidents, and sometimes they don't hear it and they don't know it's coming, and I understand all that. I'm just referring to the number of deaths that have taken place at this exact location on this exact bridge.
Yeah.
It's a high number for that very specific location. I will say that. And that is bizarre. So I do understand the association to the cryptid to the deaths. Like
Right.
I get the link there in this one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because some of them you hear and you're like, well,
Yeah, that's kind of far fetched there.
yeah, like, but this is one where it's like there is a little bit of a strangeness to that. That is a really high death count for being such a secluded kind of location, I guess. I mean, I guess not really secluded, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I understand.
But yeah. That was not a very long case, which I know some of you will appreciate, I'm sure. But
that was still interesting
It
nonetheless.
was very interesting. That was out of all the cryptids that I looked at in Kentucky, which there were a few. This one really caught my eye just because like I said, I thought that the amount of people who actually had tragically lost their lives in this case was unusually high. So I wanted to dig more into that, and I thought it was an interesting case.
I agree.
I would say that if there was going to be one so far that I would follow, it would probably be this one. So yeah.
Well, thank you for telling us about the Pope Lick Creek monster. Or what was it?
Pope Lick Monster.
Oh, Pope Lick Monster.
A.K.A. the Goat Man.
The Goat Man.
The Goat Man. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. And we hope to see you on the next one.
Yeah, please like, share, subscribe, say hi.
Any of the things above. So yeah, that's it for now. Bye guys.
Bye.